Welcome to Staff Works Explained, a channel that explores topics on different areas from different parts of the world, but our focus is mainly on what is happening in Africa. If it's your first time here, I request to subscribe to this channel. Also, watch different videos that we have made in this channel. Share your opinion, share the videos, and also like. In our today's topic, we'll be talking about COP27, which will be held in Egypt this year. From the 6th to 18th November 2022, the world will be gathering in Sharm El Sheikh, Egypt, for the 2022 United Nations Framework Convention on Climate Change, UNFCCC, Conference of Parties, which is popularly regarded as COP27 or COP27. Sharm El Sheikh is an Egyptian city on the southern tip of the Sinai Peninsula in the South Sinai Governorate of Egypt. It is on the coastal strip along the Red Sea. COP or Conference of Parties brings UNFCCC, that is United Nations Framework Convention on Climate Change, signatory governments together every year, and they come together to discuss and agree on how to jointly deal with or address climate change and its impacts. The parties of the COP are the governments which have signed the UNFCCC, the Kyoto Protocol, and also the Paris Agreement. In attendance in this meeting, we have the world leaders, head of states, head of governments, president, prime ministers, negotiators, civil society, business community, international organization, and also media. The conference this year will be held in Egypt, as we have heard, and it will be the 27th such meeting. And that's the reason why this year event is being referred to as COP27 or COP27. The first such meeting was COP1, which took place in Berlin, Germany in 1995. The latest COP26 was held in Glasgow, UK, and in this conference there were some significant strides that were made. The two headline outcomes from the COP26 were the signing of the Glasgow Climate Pact and also agreeing on the Paris Rulebook. The other significant deals that were done and also announcements that were made, although probably they were not part of the COP26 itself. The Glasgow Climate Pact was agreed on November 13th, and this was after negotiations which overran the last day of COP26, if you followed that meeting. So Glasgow Climate Pact is a series of decisions and solutions that build on Paris Accord. They set out what needs to be done to tackle climate change. However, there are some criticism that Glasgow Climate Pact does not stipulate what each country should do, and also it's not legally binding. There's also Paris Rulebook, which came out of this process, the COP26, and this guideline gives guidelines on how the Paris Agreement is to be delivered. A focus of COP26 was to secure agreement between all the Paris signatories on how they should set out the nationally determined contributions, that is the NDCs, which are supposed to reduce emissions. The finalized rulebook includes agreements on enhanced transparency, framework for reporting emissions. The second agreement is on common timeframes for emissions reduction targets, and then is mechanism and standards for international carbon markets. Other agreements that were made during this COP26, there was a commitments in a range of areas such as forest, methane, car emissions, and also private finance. There's also a commitment from 137 countries to stop and reverse forest loss and also avoid land degradation by 2030. There's also the phasing out of the coal for energy production, and this was a key objective for the UK presidency, which the country that hosted COP26. 190 countries agreed to phase down coal power, including, this, and out of this, there will be a 70% decrease in planned new coal power plants. Over 40 countries, several states and organizations declared their support for the global coal to clean power transition statement. Then there is the Clydebank Declaration, which aims to decarbonize shared shipping routes, and there was signing by 22 countries. There is also an agreement that were made, especially between private business and cities, as well as countries, such as declaration on acceleration or of transition to 100% zero emission cars and vans, and this should be done by year 2040. So this is what COP26 achieved. Other notable COPs include COP21, the famous COP21, which was held in Paris, and it's out of these that Paris Agreement was made in 2015. This is one of the most successful COPs. So it's hoped that COP27, being a unique COP, being that it's being held for the first time in an African country, it is hoped that to be able to achieve more than what has been achieved in the past in the COP26 and also COP21. COP27 is happening at a time when the world is experiencing climate crisis, which has resulted to food, energy, and environmental crisis. The conference is expected to focus on finance, climate adaptation, and also loss of biodiversity. COP27 is viewed as an African COP in reference to its location, as well as expectation that African countries will be be at the center of discussion, given that the continent contributes very little in terms of emissions, in terms of greenhouse gases, but the continent suffers most in terms of catastrophe that the result of climate change. COP27 is viewed as an African COP, and it aims at building on previous successes and paving the way for future ambition to effectively tackle the global challenge of climate change. According to COP27 presidency, which is currently being held by Egypt, which is the host country for COP2017, they aim at making COP27 an implementation COP. They are urging action across prior agreements through all areas of climate change need, with a focus on protecting people from immediate impacts of climate change and also ensuring that no one is left behind. What's the significance of COP27 being held in Egypt? As we know, it's the first time that this conference is being held in African country, and as you have seen, African countries contribute very little towards climate change, but they suffer most in terms of drought, in terms of floods. Their effects or their impact are very great in the developing countries. As we know, officially, COP takes place in Germany, Berlin. Unless there is a member country that offers to host the event instead, that's when it's held in a different country. This means that in practice, it moves regularly from different global regions that are recognized by the UN. Last year, it was held in Europe. This year, it's being held in Africa. So next year, it will be a different country and a different region. There are those who hope that hosting COP in Egypt will give a more powerful voice to all African countries who are among the most affected by climate change. There was criticism that Glasgow COP26 focused too much towards more developed countries. So COP27 should focus more on the continent and developing countries in general. Egypt is planning on COP27 being a real African conference. When President Abdel Fattah el-Sisi of Egypt was making his speech during the Glasgow COP26 in 2021, he said that they will host COP27 on behalf of African nations. Egypt Minister of Environment has been quoted saying that COP27 will help Africa countries and the most affected nations to swiftly begin their measures to confront climate change and also adapt to their impact. The main goals for COP27, they are set out. 4 goals have been set out. One is mitigation, adaptation, finance, and collaboration. Mitigation is aimed at limiting global warming to below 2 degrees centigrade, with an objective of working towards 1.5 degrees target set by the Paris Agreement in 2015. Then there is adaptation, which is a recognition of the prevalence of and therefore increasing the urgency of addressing extreme weather events. COP27 will focus on developing greater resilience and reduction of vulnerability to climate change. There is also the goal of finance, which relates to the $100 billion pledge that has been made by developing countries. So it is expected that this will be followed up, and the importance of showing progress on delivery of this finance that's supposed to help developing countries and countries which are mostly affected by the climate change effects. Then there is collaboration, which is hoped to be the means of facilitating results through partnership and appropriate representation and participation of all stakeholders. So we hope that these goals can be achieved, and COP27 really comes out as one of the best COPs where real issues will be discussed, agreements will be made towards tackling climate change, which is one of the serious problems that we are facing as the world today. So we'll continue doing more videos on COP27 as it approaches. Remember, it's 1 month away, so we'll be doing more videos listing out objectives of this conference and also what will be achieved out of that important meeting that happens once per year. So thank you for watching this video. If you are new here, subscribe to this channel, watch various videos that you have done in the past. You can leave your comment on what you think about the content that you have covered. Like, share, and subscribe for those who have not. So thank you.